Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibis. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Glad you're here. Let's see what was said at this press conference. But first, music fact of the day: which UK artist had the most number one hits in America? Well, for the men, that goes to Paul McCartney. For the women, it's really close between Adele and the late great Olivia Newton-John. All right. So last night I did a very late episode because when I finished doing the first one, I log off and see that they had released some additional information. So if you didn't catch that, go back and watch it. Some of the things they talked about today were in last night's episode, and I'm not going to repeat it. Really wasn't super major stuff anyway. So what did they say today? Well, obviously, it's a very complex and terrible crime and will take time to resolve. The primary goal is public safety and bringing someone to justice. As of today, they have received 646 tips and 90 interviews have been conducted. They have 2 behavior analysts from the FBI on scene, so they'll start profiling, try to get an idea of who may have done this, and they don't plan on releasing any of that information unless it's necessary. So they're asking for surveillance. I put that map up last night. I will link in the description to their page, which has both maps for you to see if you're local. The tip line for this case, 208-883-7180. Also, if you do have surveillance, even if you didn't see anything on it, no movement, they still would like to see it. If you have a tip or surveillance, you can email that to tipline at ci.moscow.id.us. So I'm going to put that out, retweet it. You never know who's looking. Maybe that one person has something. So they just reiterated, we know all the victims were home by 1:45 a.m. And then we had that 911 call come in at 11:58 a.m., hours after the murders. And we know last night the roommates that survived this were in the basement, just slept in. And that makes sense. They're college kids. So the 911 call, as we know, reported an unconscious person, and it was made from the phone of one of the roommates. So we know the bodies were found on the second and third floor. Scott Green, the president of the University of Idaho, ironically gave a little bit more information than the police did in that first part. He said they will, number one, accommodate students who do not wish to return to campus after Thanksgiving break. And I think that's a great thing to do. COVID kind of changed everything. We know how to do it now. And some people, I understand, might not want to go back. It's scary, at least until somebody's caught. They also, he said this. He said he is still being told they believe this was targeted, although they cannot say right now who they think was targeted. The killer was not the 911 caller. That's new and that's important. They won't say who called. The biggest thing for me that was released at this press conference, the phone calls that Kaylee and Maddie made just shortly before the murders to Jack, which is Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, who has been a childhood friend and a longtime boyfriend to her. They have cleared him and do not believe he is involved in the murders. So we need to spread that around because he is still being put out there and fingers are being pointed. And later on in the episode, the mother and father of Kaylee gave an interview today to Fox News where they clarified their feelings about Jack. So when asked about the 911 call, he said other friends had arrived to the residence. So it makes me think, just kind of in my brain, possibly they came in, realized something was wrong, and then grabbed one of the surviving roommate's cell phones. So we know the person that made the call is not the suspect. And when asked about it being one suspect, he does not know. I think right now they have no clue who did this. They also do not know where they might be, whether they are still in the community or if they have left. There's been no weapons recovered at this time as well. One other thing, online rumors of the victims being bound and gagged are false. Did not happen. Put that baby to bed. People who are not considered suspects. He went through a list. The surviving roommates, the private party driver who drove them home from the taco truck, the man in the hoodie at the food truck. As much as we think he looks suspicious, he is not a suspect. And as we know now, Kaylee's ex boyfriend, Jack. Some of the victims, as we know, had defensive wounds and were stabbed multiple times. That's really all that came out at that presser that I didn't cover last night on the episode. So let's move on to Kaylee's parents, who gave an interview with Fox News. They have been told, and they actually told more in this interview than I think we got at the presser, other than clearing some people that have been the subject of nonstop online speculation. The killer left behind a mess of evidence, and there's so much evidence that it's going to take time to process it. They also said the crime scene is described as sprawling and chaotic. The crime wasn't pinpointed, and the person was very sloppy. So that gives me a lot of hope once they start getting back these DNA tests, trace DNA, things like that. Maybe we can identify a suspect. They described Kaylee as a streetwise person who was always aware of her surroundings and would also film anything she found suspicious. We all need to start doing that. Man, woman, if you see something that don't feel right in your gut, we all have phones that have cameras. Turn your camera on. The Delphi case that just has recently broken open. These brave girls pulled up their Snapchat, got a video of the man they believe killed them. So that's what I tell my kids. If something doesn't feel right, put it right in their face. Let them know they're being recorded. They also echoed Kaylee's sister about her ex boyfriend, Jack, saying that officials are wasting their time investigating Jack, and he is just as distraught as we are. Jack is our family. He is 1,000, 2,000% our family, and Jack is with us. We stand behind him 100%. We are supporting him, and we know in our hearts and our minds and our souls and the depths of our soul, Jack is hurting. Kaylee and Jack would have eventually been married. They would have eventually been married. They would have eventually had children. We love Jack. We absolutely love Jack. So let's hope people will stop putting his face out there. It's not fair. Speaking about Maddie, they were talking about the role she played not only as Kaylee's best friend, but as a member of their family. And I talked about this last night. Maddie was in our oldest daughter's, Olivia's, wedding. Olivia said, "All of my sisters are my bridesmaids," and Maddie was one of those bridesmaids. And it was all of Olivia's sisters, including Maddie. Every time we traveled out of the country or went on vacation, Maddie went with us. So this is both of our girls. We will never stop looking for who killed them. She also said Kaylee had sent her photos of her and Maddie Saturday afternoon around 3 p.m. She also talked to her on the phone that day and said they were making plans for her mom's birthday, and that had occurred earlier in the week. Her mom said Kaylee told her mom, "I'll be home Tuesday and I'm going to take you out to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's all on me. All on me, and we'll celebrate your birthday." So she told her daughter, "That sounds great, Kaylee, and I'll see you on Tuesday, honey." A friend of Kaylee said Maddie loved having a sister, not only with Kaylee, but her entire family, and it allowed her to see the beauty in sisterhood. She said Kaylee would say, Maddie is always her forever plus one. The two best friends spent a lot of time together, especially at Kaylee's home with her family. They were known not only for their beauty, but their sense of humor. Their ironic love for country music, including old Taylor Swift songs, their ability to make everyone feel included to their plans, and their appreciation for scenery and sunsets. Kaylee was planning on going backpacking in Europe in January before starting her new job. And so that was really it today, guys. I'm trying to keep an eye out for family who are talking and giving us insight into the people that were murdered. I love being able to tell their stories and humanizing them to the listeners and to me, because at the end of the day, that is what this is about. These people, we have the drama with the investigation that is super important, but it's always important to learn about who these people were. I know Ethan's parents spoke yesterday. He really sounded like such a neat kid, very good with kids, coaching, very athletic. It sounds like he was one of those guys that I hope my son grows up to be that kind of man. It just, I got that feeling. So keep the families and the friends in your thoughts. This is unimaginable and obviously very frustrating with little to no answers at this point of who may have done this to these children. I don't want to say children, these young adults who were just barely ready to tip their toes into the adult world. So I will bring anything new to you and we'll stay on top of it. In the meantime, you guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow with something new.